My name is Albert Nyathi. I was born and bred in Gwanda at a place or a village called Kafusi, just after Manama, rural Gwanda. I was not born in a clinic. I was born in a kitchen, and that was the norm. It was very normal. I went to school there, and then eventually got my education in Bulawayo, upper primary school, Mpumelelo Primary School, and then City Secondary School, and Matopo High School, then University of Zimbabwe. So I was head boy in all those schools that I mentioned. Mpumelelo Primary, I was head boy. City Secondary, I was head boy. Matopo High School, I was head boy. Well, I enjoyed studying, but interestingly, I started my poetry at that level, primary school level. Up to now, I'm still in that business. I suppose that the rudimentary aspect of it was coming from the bush with your dogs, and you have a rabbit for your mother, and she showers you with your clan praise poetry. And I think that's the elementary stages of poetry getting into you kind of situation. And that's how it was. And I liked that. And of course, poetry and storytelling, you had grandmother telling stories, stories of the rabbit acting clever and the baboon being stupid and stuff like that. I think it is those things that made me. I was able to write, but I wasn't confident with my works. So I would perform other people's poetry. Mayford Swanda in particular, what's Obadiah Mlilo, Ndabezitlas Koko, Dambozo Marechera. I remember some of the poems, amazing stuff. The performance aspect of it was influenced by LKJ, Lyndon Kwesi Johnson, Benjamin Zephaniah, Mutabaruka, and of course, Mzwake Mbuli was my contemporary, so I was able to listen to him as well. But when I heard Mzwake, I was already in it. There's a gentleman called Cosmo Peters who used to gather us at YWCA in Bulawayo. And, every Saturday, he would also work with students from Hillside Teachers College who were training to be teachers. He would be with us performing poetry. What fascinated me about that gentleman is that he would actually perform some of the poetry from the Bible. I did not know that the Bible has the greatest ever poetry. If you go to Psalms and stuff like that, you'll be shocked. It's so beautiful. So I learned to do recitation through that. There is also a lady who was a teacher called Edi Mpofu. She taught me a lot. Yeah, so I went through all that process. And that is particularly at Mpumelelo and Msiteli Secondary School, 881, 882. And then, there is one teacher who is late now called RD. We simply knew him as RD. If you say RD, everyone who went to Matopo Mission or Matopo High School would know who that is. RD, simply RD. Or Robert Dobe, but no one would know Robert Dobe. They knew RD. Amazing in terms of inspiration. So Matopo is a boarding school. Surrounding Matopo are mountains or hills, and that inspired me. And there is a place, a curve called Iliche Ligantu Njambila. So Iliche Ligantu Njambila. So it's Iliche Ligantu Njambila. So this is in traditional stories. So as I grew up, I was being told about Iliche Ligantu Njambila by my grandmother, but eventually came to meet it's a curve, that stone, where stories are being told of issues that were happening there. So it was fun. It was great. It gave me inspiration. And by the time I came down to the university, I was already okay in terms of inspiration. When I got into poetry, I never knew that it would pay me one day. I never thought of the commercial side of it. I was enjoying it. It was fun. Until one day, a lady called Florence Chitauro, who was with ZCTU, she was the deputy to Morgan Tsvangirai at ZCTU, Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions. In late 80s, heard that there was a student at the University of Zimbabwe's English department who was a good reciter of poetry. And she came looking for me, and she got me and she said, look, I've heard about you. We need you to write 3 poems that will be translated into 7 languages. Conference taking place at Harare International Conference Center. So we would like you to write. One of the poems should be based on Nelson Mandela, who was still in prison at the time. So I remember we met at a hotel and she said to me, so Mtanami, like my son, how much should we pay you? I said, angazi Masalu, anything. I don't know anything, innocently, because I never knew these things paid. So she gave me $80. It was a lot of money. I was a student, remember, at the university at that time, and it was a lot of money. I enjoyed having that $80. So I performed, and I remember in their newsletter they wrote something about how beautiful the performance was. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunity. It is an ideal that I hope to live for and to achieve, but if need be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. That was so intense. But anyway, when Nelson Mandela came to officially open the Nelson Mandela Avenue, I performed for him. So those are some of the things that I did. But eventually, while at the university, I met a gentleman called Titus Moetsabi and a lady called Cynthia Mungofa, or Margaret Mungofa. Both of them had Bulawayo background, and we used to perform together. We used to perform together, and we called ourselves Al City Dub Poets. Al for Albert, CY for Cynthia, TI for Titus. Al City Dub Poets, right? Yeah, we used to perform a lot, particularly at the Harare Gardens and the university, different functions, and we had a performance every Wednesday at a place at the National Gallery of Zimbabwe, in a room called, then known as Penthouse Studio. It was a biggish room, and yeah, we used to fill it up every Wednesday. I remember starting it used to start at 7 o'clock, ending at 8 o'clock every Wednesday. But then eventually we decided to fuse poetry with music, and we got a band called Vadzimba, which was based in Lusaka. Lusaka, here in Harare, in Highfield. Yeah. This is the band that eventually helped me record Senenwe, and that whole album that had 10 songs. Vadzimba. I remember Washington Kuvea, Douglas Domingo. There is one guy we called Mkoma Koko. He's late. Douglas is also late. Mkoma Koko was David Domingo, the brother to. So there were 3 brothers, Domingo brothers. David Domingo, Douglas Domingo, and I've forgotten the 3rd one. So we would rehearse and have shows around. And that's how this whole thing started. Senenwe, this is where When Chris Hani, a gentleman called Chris Hani, was believed to be the second most popular leader in the African National Congress, but he was from the Communist Party. He was shot dead. He had been in exile for many years, and then there was a ceasefire that led to that settlement in South Africa, in the independence of South Africa. So while he was now back in South Africa. While he was around during the ceasefire and jogging, he was just jogging around his home, he was shot 4 bullets. And that hurt me a lot. I imagined somebody who had spent so many years, probably over 20 years in exile, away from his family, away from his relatives, shot dead. And that pained me a lot. The song Senzeni Na, which is different from Senzeni Na. 2 versions. There's the struggle version, the South Africa struggle version, then there's this Senzeni Na. Like, what crime have we committed? But to be honest, when I recorded it, it was more like an additional song, one of those additional songs. It wasn't my main song. I'm very disappointed because what I thought were my main songs didn't quite make it in that album. But I'm happy, But however, there's a gentleman called Dr. Robert McLaren who taught me at the University of Zimbabwe. And there is a group that was called Zambuko Izivuko. Part of what nurtured me was Dr. Robert McLaren. He cast me to play the role of Nelson Mandela in a play called Mandela, the Spirit of No Surrender. This is how I then discovered the singer Prudence Katomeni Mbofana, who was at Girls High School at the time, doing Form 1 at the time. It's a whole interesting story. You can tell us. So so after we did Mandela, the Spirit of No Surrender, it was officially launched by the then Vice President, the late Vice President Mzenda. So we had many performances at the University of Zimbabwe. Then we had 10 performances at Girls High School, their theater. From there we had a performance in Ndare, all sold out, like packed. We had a performance in Kweru. We had a performance, from Ndare we went to Maswingo, from Maswingo, Kweru, Bulawayo, all sold out, like packed, no space. You could not come in. After all that, because we had launched it at Girls High School, after all that, the headmistress, who was called Dombuchana at the time, I think she's late, she invited me to the opening prize giving day because girls had seen me and it's a girls' school, and they really liked my performance. So I went down as one of the guests, and while seated, I saw this little girl who was Form 1 singing. I was like, wow, this girl. So when she was done, afterwards, I met her and I said, I will work with you. I went to the headmistress and told her that I want to work with this girl. Then afterwards, I met the parents, and she got picked up for the movie More Time. She became a star, huge star, and she won awards. That's Prudence Katomeni Mbofana, an amazing voice. Now, the person you see, the little girl you see in Senzeni Na on the video, is not Prudence Katomeni Mbofana. She's called Naomi Menda. Now, I was friends with the parents of Naomi Menda, particularly the mother, because the mother, Joyce Menda, had come to give us a lecture. She was still relatively young at the university, talking about township music. So she became more like a sister. And she then had told me that her child was somehow talented, but she didn't know in what. She said, you need to do something. So when I was about to leave for Denmark in June 1994, Prudence was busy writing exams, June exams. And I needed to leave, but I needed to record a video. So it is then that I picked the girl. That girl did that thing overnight. So I coached her. I actually didn't even coach her. I gave her the video, the audio, the song to listen to and to sing along. And I then explained to her what the song was about. I indicated that this song is about cruelty. I said to her, look, Naomi, can you imagine you are seated at home and people come and kill your mother and father? How would you feel? This is what this song is all about. She was young, remember, she was grade 6 from Alfred Bate. Prudence was at Girls Act. So anyway, there was a team called A-Team at ZBC, the A-Team. There was John Peary, there was Dorothy Chitsao, if I'm not mistaken, there was KC and others, an amazing team. So the night before I left for Denmark, we recorded almost the whole night. Went down. We did not know. People say that, Lafagi Bilebile, Lafagi Vix. No, it's not true. We didn't use Vix to get her to cry. We didn't even think that she was going to cry. It was not our intention that Naomi cried. We never intended her to cry. We were thinking, I was just recording. And so the mother was there, right? And so we started, when you are recording a music video, you can have many takes, like 6, 7 times. So we put her there. Remember, I had explained to her what the song was all about. And then we started recording, and then my friend Tomisani Kumpo, who is in that video, says to me, kuyakhala. It's crying. I would say, kind of, she's crying. Yebo. End of the song, she wipes out the tears and she's smiling and she hugs and we talk, we laugh. We start the song again. The same thing. She starts well and she begins to, an amazing girl, and that's how the whole thing happened. And then, but interestingly, most women, including the producer, Dorothy, started shedding tears. They will kill me for that, for exposing them. But I think that me and Tomisani Kumpo, a friend of mine, were saying, look at the ladies now. I think they were also affected by how she was affected by the song, If you check that video, you will see Marian Gunonga. I don't know if you know Marian Gunonga. She's a filmmaker. If you check, there's Tomisani Kumpo, a friend of mine who is an amazing artist. You will see Mateo, in that video. You will see Muzi, of Tombofara, Boyagi Muzodli Ngam. In that video, there are many. I saw Chenjerai Owe, the late, who was a good friend of mine, performing or reading a poem, his poem called I Will Not Speak, right? And I enjoyed that. So I went to him and said, wow, I love this. He did it in Shona and he did it in English. I said, I think I like the English version. I like both, but I'm capable of doing the English version. So he said, Yanga, he would call me Yanga. By all means, take it, turn it into music. So we did it. It was very good. Called I Will Not Speak. I will not speak. I will not speak, as they say, mouths are caves in which to hide defiled words. As of now, I will not speak. I will be silent. I will be dead, man. I will. That kind of thing. After that, I did Welcome to Zimbabwe, which is an album. Yeah, it did fairly well also. And then I then did a poem called My Daughter. It's an interesting story. When my daughter was about 14-ish, 15-ish, so as a father, when you see change in your daughter, slight changes, you don't know what to say. You don't know how to behave, how to, 14, 15, 16, like, oh. So one day during her birthday, I can't remember exactly how old she was, whether 14 or 15, she found a few lines on her bed coming from school. Something like, my daughter, when I demand that you be home before dark every day, I, my daughter, do not hate you, dear. I am merely trying to protect you from the jaws of the drooling hyenas that love to feast in the dark, from the panting leopards stalking you like ghosts almost ready to leap at you, from the hungry lions silently eyeing you, smacking their lips ready to pounce, from the jumping monkeys leaping from tree to tree and from branch to branch with no particular base. Dear daughter, tell me, what color is the chameleon? So when I say be home before dark every day, I am merely being dutiful as a father, man. I am doing what mothers should do. It is my duty to protect you from the black mambas that hate to miss a target. They all want to win your heart, dear. And remember, the python preys on its victim by changing colors. Oh, those rainbow colors. Aren't they beautiful? Daughter, take heed. Darkness has no eyes. So that's what I wrote. Did the longer version, but I started with about 6 lines at the time. And she laughed. But it created a situation where we can then talk about issues, me and her. So there's an old man who stopped me as I was walking along, I think it's Harare or Kakovi Street. And she said, Mwanangu, are you Nyathi? Then I said, no, I'm the twin sister. I usually joke. She's like, you are lying. Mwanangu, there is that poem I heard on radio. I saw you perform on television. Where can I get that poem? It's about Mwanasigana. She said so. And I was like, oh, the one called My Daughter. I said, yeah. Then I said, but I don't have a copy. What? She said, but I need it. Where can I get it? Then, we talked and she went her way. And one day when I was performing at Harare Gardens, I was with Konti Mhlanga, the late. He saw people approaching me after my performance. And people saying, where can I get that copy? Here is my email. Can you email me? May you kindly email me this poem? It's been funny. So Conte then said to me, Nyathi, you see, you're wasting money. This is money, my friend. Turn that poem into a book. So it became a book eventually. Through the old lady, through Konti Mhlanga. So these are the things that eventually made me create a book or publish it, the poem in the form of a book. And then after, I printed 5,000 copies and that got finished, right? It was mainly parents buying the stuff for their children. But also when as they were buying, most would say, why can't you do something for the boy child? He also goes through the same challenges. So I decided, look, I don't want to be selfish. Where I think I'm done thinking, like, this is it. I need an extra mind. So I approached a friend of mine who is a writer, a wonderful writer called Ignatius Mabasa. So we wrote together, My Son. My son. You don't want to hear that one, do you? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. My son Shakespeare, do not just shake your spear everywhere. There are angry leopards and buffaloes and antelopes wounded from previous encounters with hunters. They may be angry, uncomfortable. They may want revenge. Let it not be you, my son. My son, as you walk and stalk, never hunt baby animals. That is no manhood, my son. My son, I am proud of you. Today you have become a warrior eager to explore the jungle with your sharp spear that never misses. But as you hunt, as you walk, never hunt animals you don't know. Even those that you know may be unpredictable, my son. Do not hunt on Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram. Animals on all platforms are not real, my son. Poetry is music, and music is poetry. They are very much related in a way. If you come to think of it, you can turn a poem into a song. And there are many examples of such. And I think that youngsters are still going on. While we may have been part of the initial stages, I realize that it's still going on. If you think of a girl called Awa Kiwe, Awa, there are many actually. Then the girl with the blue, Noluntu, and many others who are fusing poetry with music. Then you see what I mean. Up to now, I carry a pen with me. If I feel like writing, I write. Then I'll transfer that to a laptop later. I write and cancel. You know when you are writing, you write, you cancel, you write, you cancel. You are not sure if this is the right term, this is the right phrase. That's the process of creativity. So yeah, it's difficult. I think you are very correct. If you go to some of these platforms, you may not find my music. So I think I need to do more in terms of adapting to the new system, new ways of survival in the creative sector. The charity side of me, I am building a girls' hostel in my village at Kafusi Secondary School. I'm helped by a school called Christ's Hospital. It's a school, but it's called Christ's Hospital in West Sussex, which is Horsham in England. There's my former teacher called Stephen Welsh. So we are building a girls' hostel that will house about 64 girls. It's a low-cost boarding school, and therefore kids travel long distances to the school. And the school is using at least two classrooms for them to put up. They sleep in two different classrooms, boys that side and girls that side. And as somebody who grew up in that area, I decided I would take up the initiative. And parents are, helping with labor and other related stuff.
Mimba haipini kusuru, ushanda kutsvaga zuru.